from Southern Maryland's weather leader. This is a JB Weather Report.
Hello and good morning, everybody. I'm forecaster John Bordash with you in the JB Weather Center this morning, continuing to track our impending winter storm. We have issued the final call forecast. We have kind of finalized where I think we're going to be headed here over the next 24 to 36 hours. And now it's pretty much just a waiting game, waiting for this storm to arrive, get the final bits of information in. But we're here to discuss what that final call forecast is for you. And I wanted to get this in before all the football started this afternoon, so you have a good idea and you still have some time this afternoon to go ahead and get prepared and be all good to go. And it looks like we are all good to go with audio. I will say that much of what I'm going to be discussing in this live stream, you can find on the website at jbweather.net. I know the website's been a little hit and miss today given the immense amount of web traffic that the final call has generated. I've been on the phone all morning, and my web provider just lets me know that you just have too many people trying to access the website at one time. So guess we can call it a good problem to have. A little annoying, but it is what it is. Yesterday and early this morning, we saw winter storm warnings get issued for much of the mid-Atlantic. So we are looking at the entire state of Maryland being covered with a winter storm warning. Much of Virginia, some of the southwestern counties of Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Delaware. It's all those counties that are shaded in pink. And what this winter storm warning is going to denote is the high likelihood of impactful snow and sleet. You're going to see high impacts throughout the day on Monday. We'll kind of detail those a little bit more, but definitely looking at just a general 4 to 8 inches of snow in this region. To the north through southern parts of Pennsylvania, central New Jersey, winter weather advisory there shaded in purple for lighter snow totals, but still moderate impacts are going to be likely throughout the day on Monday. And I wouldn't be surprised to see this map maybe change a little bit more. I could see maybe York and Lancaster County and the rest of Chester County in southern Pennsylvania potentially get added to a winter storm warning, and maybe areas like a Juniata or a Mifflin County get added to a winter weather advisory. But nevertheless, these are the alerts we have right now. These alerts start at about 10 o'clock tonight or thereabout, a little bit earlier, closer to about 8 o'clock or 6 o'clock to the south and west near Charlottesville, and they run throughout your Monday going to about 2 a.m. on Tuesday. So it's going to be something we're going to continue to watch. Let's go ahead. Let's take a look at the impacts. This is a graphic that many people tend to appreciate and can really kind of get a lot of their questions answered, because this really, I think, answers a lot. This really breaks down kind of what kind of impacts you're going to see and when. We're really not looking at much throughout the day today. We're going to start to see those impacts from snow begin to increase after sunset tonight. That's when our precip begins to move in. The snow will become heavy, especially to the north at times, as we approach sunrise Monday morning. And it's kind of that first round of snow that's kind of the most likely between about 10 o'clock tonight, lingering through about lunchtime tomorrow. By the end of that window, that's when we start to see some mixing, some sleet and freezing rain creep northward. And it's definitely kind of impacting the area south of DC after sunrise tomorrow. We probably will see a little bit of a lull in the activity, lighter precipitation rates, maybe some dry skies, maybe not much going on during the afternoon hours tomorrow. But then we see a second round of potential winter weather move through in around sunset tomorrow night, and that second round could create even more moderate to high-end impacts before everything kind of wraps up a little bit by Tuesday morning. Temperatures are going to kind of be flirting right around the freezing point throughout this storm. It isn't until the back half of this storm, and really when that second round of snow hits, we start to see temperatures tumble. And cold temperatures, gusty winds, potentially winds gusting upwards of 20 to 30 miles per hour by tomorrow evening. This first round of snow, I'm not expecting gusty winds, maybe here and there, but nothing too sustained. But once we head towards Monday evening, I could see winds getting a little gusty. Not worried about power outages right now. What I am going to be watching for the potential of would be blowing and drifting snow on some area roadways. Snow-covered roads are going to be likely tomorrow morning when you wake up at, let's say, a 5, a 6, or 7 a.m. I would expect definitely a lot of our back roads and secondary roads to have snow covering, and potentially even our primary roads. Thinking like a Route 4, a Route 5, potentially even a 301 or an I-95. And we're looking at widespread issues throughout the day. Let's go ahead and time out for you with Futurecast what the timing looks like. And this is Futurecast stopped here right around 10 p.m. tonight. So what you can see is what looks to be almost like rain pushing into Maryland, but that's my model not getting a good handle on the cold, dry air. That rain that's out in front is really not going to be there. It's really just dry air. We start to get some of those colorings, though, of blue. That's going to represent your snow. In my model here, our Cedar Point Federal Credit Union Futurecast gets it in here around midnight, if not maybe a little bit after the fact. So widespread snow as we head into tomorrow morning. This is now sitting right around 5 a.m., and a lot of you are going to start to wake up, try to see what's going on outside, and at this point, you might already have about 2, 3, maybe 4 inches of snow. You can see down to the south, though, kind of south of Charlottesville, down towards the Richmond area. You can see how it is what looks to be like heavy snow. I actually think that's going to be the area where sleet's mixing in, and our future view model here is picking up on that as a little bit of heavy snow, but it's probably going to be sleet. We'll get a new run of Future View in here over the next couple of hours to update this, but we can see that our model here has that snow lingering. You see where you have that heavy snow that's really, I think, going to be sleet mixing in, making it appear heavier on the radar, but that begins to creep north as we head towards about 10 o'clock, and then by lunchtime we have maybe some rain mixing in, some sleet, and even some breaks in the action out west, and I think many areas could get in on a little bit of dry time tomorrow afternoon, before that second round of snow then begins to really push on in as we head towards sunset tomorrow night, and then everything's kind of out of here as you head on over towards Tuesday morning. Let's go ahead and take a look at what that final call snowfall forecast is, and we'll zoom in here on Southern Maryland in just a moment. But just to give you a regional picture, since we do now have more regional followers, I think that we're going to see our heaviest band of snow outside of the mountains. That's going to go just south of Hagerstown, right through Baltimore, through parts of the northern D.C. suburbs, and then back out towards like a Winchester. 6 to 10 inches plus is possible. I think somebody in there could potentially get upwards of, let's call it maybe 10, 11, maybe even 12 inches of snow. To the south of that, total starts to fall off more like a 4 to 8 inch amount. It's going to be likely because you're going to have snow and sleet concerns, with even less down to the south where mixing concerns will start earlier on. To the north, total starts to drop off because you're not going to see as much moisture. The heaviest snow will probably stay to the south of Harrisburg, maybe getting right up towards that Maryland-Pennsylvania line. So we're going to monitor this, but as you can see, widespread high impacts are likely Monday, and they're probably going to linger on over into Tuesday. And I can even show you right now what's going on our William Richmond Inc. TrueView radar. We already have our storm beginning to bring widespread snow throughout much of the state of Missouri, through Illinois, through Indiana, getting into Kentucky with a very solid layer there of mixing, represented by the pink, the sleet and freezing rain through there. And do note, there are some dry patches in there. Let me turn off our National Weather Service advisory so you can get a more clear look here. You get some dry slots in there. That's going to be something I'm watching as well. But down to the south, this is going to turn into quite the severe weather event down towards Louisiana and Mississippi, which is weird to think about. But there the system is. It's getting ready to move through, and that's how we're going to be getting to these forecast totals. 4 to 8, 6 to 10 inches of snow looking likely. Zooming in here into Southern Maryland, you're going to find the highest totals kind of north of the Benedict Bridge. So that's 231. It runs from Prince Frederick to about Hughesville on over towards La Plata. North of there, I think that's where you can see about 5 to 8 inches of snow. To the south of that point, Southern Calvert County, St. Mary's County, Southern Charles County, talking maybe more like a 4 to 6, 4 to 7 inch kind of an event. Slightly lower totals there because you're going to see a couple more hours of mixing than areas to the north we're going to see. And then far to the south, we're talking southern parts of St. Mary's County. This is like a Tall Timbers, St. Mary's City, Scotland, Ridge Point Lookout, as well as the northern neck. We're thinking Montrose, on over towards Lancaster, those sorts of areas. Looking at a general 3 to 5. The mixing is going to move into that region first, and then we're going to see the mixing hang on a little bit longer towards the end of the event. So we're going to watch that, but we're still looking at a solid 2 to 5 inches when we wake up tomorrow morning, and then adding potentially another inch or two, or maybe a little bit more than that with the back end snow. We will need to watch for the potential of icing, though, right? So we have the threat of a glazed up to 1/10 of an inch, causing some potential icy spots, things like sleet and freezing rain. Widespread icing is going to be possible down to our south and west. So that's kind of where we stand right now. I mean, I think in terms of school odds, when we look at those sorts of impacts, closings are pretty much likely, if not guaranteed, for almost everybody in the state of Maryland, much of Virginia, lots of West Virginia, even parts of southern Pennsylvania. I think closings are going to be likely kind of through the York area back towards like a Chambersburg, and honestly even towards Harrisburg. Delays are likely, and I think closings are very much possible up in that area. So before we get into all the forecast hardships and kind of everything we're looking at, this is a nice overview. Battle zone of heavy snow and mixing will be the case south of Washington, D.C. To the north, jackpot of higher totals, so you get that cold air and warm, moist air kind of mixing together. So see what kind of questions we got going on right now. Let me bring you back on over to the local look. There we go, hyper local look, to kind of get you that that overview. So if you have questions, feel free to ask them. Now, when we start looking at JB, what's going to happen in Solomons? It's almost like it's right down at the bottom part of the screen. What time are we looking at it to start? Glenn is asking. My models like bringing this in generally around, and I'll bring this up real quick. Timestamps up top, so we're talking right around midnight, I think. So well after sunset tonight. So yeah, and the breaking news I had earlier today is we do now have the goldfish ready to go. Not yet opened. We're gonna get there though, probably this evening. Got football on tap. Watch Washington play Dallas. Always a good rivalry game. Try to get some lesson planning done as well. Jerry's asking about Owing. So, Jerry, if you take a look at this map, if you're asking about snow totals, I mean, Prince Frederick's showing that is 5 to 8, and the beach is 5 to 8. So take a wild guess what you think Owings might be. Do you think my flight at DC 8 to California at 6 p.m.? Brittany, you should be fine getting out of DC at 6 o'clock. I think you should be good to go. And when we look at just overall, I think any sort of flight plans out of a BWI, Reagan National, Dulles, anytime after about 2 or 3 o'clock tonight, that's where you're going to start to have issues. And any potential flights or travel implications onto Tuesday, it's really going to be determined by what happens tomorrow. If this forecast plays out as we think it might, I could see some lingering travel issues into at least Tuesday morning. Martha asking if this looks like the Jan 6, 2022 storm. I think you're thinking it was actually January 3rd where we saw that like kind of surprise, like 15 inches of snow. I don't think so. This storm is much different. It's just kind of built different. A little technical, but the January 2022 storm was what we call a closed off upper level low, kind of like a bowling ball of energy, created its own air, had a lot of heavy precip. This is going to be definitely a little bit different. Heavy snow or fluffy snow, Kim, that is a very good question, and I've been getting that a lot. More generally of a fluffy snow. Now, the issue is at least here in southern Maryland, right? Because we're going to have some sleet mixing in. That's going to help to weigh down the snow and then make it feel a little heavier. So kind of both. It should, I mean, for areas I don't mix at all, this will be a pure fluffy snow. But for southern areas where you get that mixing, this could turn into a little bit of a heavy wet snow. Plenty of goldfish. Coffee, Nancy, is over. I mean, I'm currently looking at my camera, so behind it, I have a wall in my kitchen. Coffee is over there ready to rock and roll. Thoughts on Delaware, specifically Middleton and Newark. So you're talking northern parts of Delaware. I'm liking about 4 to 8 inches up there for you. Probably closer to maybe like 6, I think is a pretty good number for the Middletown area. What's the craziest high totals we could see like here on? Okay, so Brandy, if we're talking uppermost, and I can show you what some of my modeling's doing here that does a pretty good job. Let me bring you on over here. Let's get this switched on over for us to our Futurecast model. And this is currently in the process of running, but this actually does a lot with the snow that I'm not sure I necessarily agree with. So let's switch this over. Let me get let's get the model timeline put up here. Model, not me. And let's get radar taken off on all of these layers. Centers, I don't need lightning. And actually, I think what's going to be much easier than me doing all of this is just bringing up the raw model data on this side of my computer because I currently have it brought up. All right, so let's go ahead and bring this puppy up. I want models. There we go. And let's get the timestamp loaded up so you can see what we're looking at. So some of our high-res modeling shows that potentially this is getting into right around the time you'd be waking up. I mean, this model gets a little bullish, I think, but it likes a general 2 to 5 inches of snow. And this, to me, is kind of our uppermost potential. This model, I mean, look at this. That's a healthy bit of snow. Now, let me say that with this, those longtime followers know what I'm about to write. Oh, that is not what I wanted. So this is not a forecast by any stretch of the imagination. At least this is not my forecast. With that said, though, this model colder thinks that sleet stays to the south. So you would have Richmond kind of right there. So that's Rick. You have DCA sitting right here. Right here would be Pax River, NHK. So, I mean, it brings a solid foot of snow through. I really think this is overdone, though. Like, I don't see this much snow realistically falling. Let me show you what my American model is doing right now. First time me seeing this. And I mean, even this might be a little bit more plausible, but I could still see, like, if the sleet really is able to stay down through this region, if the sleet line only gets to about there, and you can keep that cold air coming south, sure, I could see where that heaviest band of snow potentially sets up right through this region. I do tend to think, though, that this, I keep thinking that I'm going to be able to scroll with that. I still think that we're looking at the heaviest band of snow to set up here. But again, that sleet area stays to the south. Sure, it could shift a little bit further to the south. Not my current forecast, but something to keep a watchful eye on. Diane wants to know about the significance of the goldfish. We do have a lot of new followers. This started years ago, but before big snowstorms, like when I'm here forecasting for extended periods, this happens even during like severe weather, but definitely winter weather because these are prolonged events. I just keep a box of goldfish nearby to snack on because I'm just locked in here at the computer. So that typically tends to tell us that we have big weather happening that's going to cause me to be in the weather center. And Jennifer, definitely possible that we see that highest total of 6 to 10 come southward. Alan, I'm not too sure about local county preparedness. I know once the snow begins to, and I believe many area roads are getting treated right now. Once the snow begins to fall, that's when counties will begin to declare snow emergencies. That's going to help to put restrictions on the road to get plows out and about. So with the snow expected for Monday, what kind of conditions are you predicting for Tuesday? Bree, that's real. That's difficult to say at this point. I mean, if this forecast were to go as I think it will, I would think closings for Tuesday, but that's not a guarantee at this point. Melissa wants to know info on Cecil County. So for my Southern Maryland followers, that's to show you. JB weather is much more of a regional thing. Now, we have people tuning in from parts of West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Cecil counties, the northeast corner of Maryland. 4 to 8 inches of snow looking very likely on up towards Cecil County. Probably a little bit more south of Elkton as you get down towards the midshore. But like 4 to 8 inches of all snow for you. And we expect moderate ice buildup before the snow falls. I mean, Aaron, I'm thinking that with ice, I mean, that's going to be a factor south of Washington, D.C., I think. Now, I don't think that ice is going to be the heaviest in our region. I'm trying to see if I can pull up one of my models that has this for you. And I think, actually, my North American model might just have it. Let me make sure it does. Yeah, actually, that shows that pretty good. Let me bring it back on over. So, timestamp up top. This is 3 o'clock today. Not much going on. And you can see that the snow even itself has a hard time lifting north because of the dry air out ahead of it. But we can see, just to make life easy, let me outline the state for you because I know that is too thick of a marker. Because I know these maps can get crowded a little bit. So this is kind of your outline of Maryland right here. So look at where you are in the state. put Pennsylvania right through there. Now, those that have been following long enough know I love drawing a good handmade map. Right, so there's Virginia, and then there goes West Virginia. All right, so I'm not a cartographer, but best I can get for you. You can see this generally has the snow beginning to push in after about midnight, but just take a look to the south. You're looking at a lot of sleet where you get that orange or kind of pinkish color. I don't know if this is going to show up the way I want it to. It's not. But you're looking at a lot of sleet down to the south where you get that color. And watch how this model, and I like that it does this because I think this is what's going to happen. As we head towards about sunrise, notice that you have your sleet. Let me start to erase some of this because it's going to get rather crowded. Your sleet line sitting right through here. Just on the other side of that, wherever that sleet line does set up, on the other side of it, almost like a noodle, that's where you're going to get your heaviest snow, right in this region. So I do think that we will get in on a period of more moderate snow, and then we see slowly but surely that sleet line begins to move north. But notice that you get a lot more of that sleet and freezing rain to our south and west. Again, on this map, Leonardtown sits right about there, DC right about there. Now, again, this model likes to think that the snow is going to be able to hold on a little bit longer, but eventually, even on this model, by lunchtime, you get sleet, freezing rain pushing north, even maybe plain rain with that lull in the activity. But then on the backside, it brings a nice bit of snow. What this model is doing in terms of, let's first show you sleet totals. Take a look at this. That is 1 to 3 inches of pure sleet to our south and west. This is really the region I'm looking at for potential sleet buildup. This is like Charlottesville, Harrisonburg, Staunton, even maybe down towards the Richmond area, near potentially also near Orange, Virginia, Nelson County as well, back towards Pendleton County. That's going to be something to watch. And if we do the glaze of ice forecast as well, you can see if we really zoom in here, you're most likely to see that mixing in this region, right? So that is, again, just about south of the Benedict Bridge that runs from about Prince Frederick over to Hughesville. This is the area I think could see some icing. This model likes to think, I mean, you can even get in on some moderate icing right through there. That would include like a St. Mary City. So we'll see. We shall see. Let me bring up the local forecast as I do this. School in St. Mary's County, and I think somewhere in here, there, schools, I mean, folks, we know this. I mean, people will say, schools close just for, like, rain. So we're seeing snow, like, schools are closing tomorrow. That's a pretty easy call, I think. I'll leave this up real quick. When do I think it will be, let's see, when do you think it will be a heavy start of fall? When is it going to start to fall heavy? I think our period of heavy snow in southern Maryland is going to be this period between about 3 a.m. and about 7 a.m. I think that's going to start probably around 5 or 6 a.m. though when you get north of D.C. So you're going to start out as all snow. I do think it'll start out as all snow. Wanting to know about the Lusby area. There you go. Yeah, Amy, good luck traveling to DCA Tuesday morning. That drive up there could be a little dicey, and flights might be a little delayed in the morning. All right, and I think that just about gets us to where we need to be. So I know that we're approaching kickoff for football, and I'm interested in watching football because my Washington team is playing early on. I believe we have a 1 o'clock game against Dallas, so interested in that. But as we kind of start to wrap things up, I see a quick question asking about wind. This is going to be your general forecast. Winds become a bigger ordeal, something that we're really going to be watching as we head on over towards tomorrow evening. with that second round of snow. That's going to be what we will continue to watch, and I will show you just for sake's argument one last time. This is our model snowfall projection. This is when you're waking up at 6 a.m. This model, when you wake up, and I like this, I think this is a pretty safe bet, a general 2 to 4 inches of snow kind of through this region. So you're not going to wake up and see 4 to 8 inches or 6 to 10 inches. You're only going to get a couple inches by the time you wake up, and then how much can you add on to that throughout the day? And for areas kind of, let me draw it in a little bit of a different color so it shows up. South of that line, a lot of your additional, like you might only have 3 inches of snow until the backside moves through about 12 hours later and then drops an additional inch or two, and that can get you to potentially like a 4 to 7 inch amount. All right, so that is kind of where we are. Questions about School Tuesday. If this forecast were to hold as I think it will, you would have to imagine we would see issues lingering into Tuesday causing school delays and cancellations. Probably favor more of a cancellation, but we shall see. All right, so I think that's pretty much where we are. Keep it tuned here to JB Weather. I have information and a presence on many social media platforms. Twitter, that is now X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, the website, jbweather.net, kind of that home base for all your information. So stay tuned. I'll have updates coming up, and I'll continue to provide you with the latest information. Have a nice and safe one. Keep it tuned right here. Take this time to make sure you're all prepared. Have your snow melt and your shovels ready to go, because I think we'll have some shovelable snow. Have a nice and safe one, and I will see you all back here later on this evening.
Check the forecast anytime online at jbweather.net.